Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knuckleheads podcast. And as always, with a 2-0 smile over there, is my main man, Reggie. What's going on, Reggie?
I'm good, man. Wow, 2-0, 2-0, and the Washington Commanders sounds a little foreign. In fact, it's so foreign that it's not something we've said since 2011, right?
Right?
But here we are, man, 2-0 with a chance to take this thing up to 3-0. And from what I understand, it's been a long, long time since we've been 3-0. But we got
Right.
a big task ahead of us this week, and we'll get into all of that, man. But what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. To your point, kind of riding the wave. When I'm out there on social media, as we all know, Washington fans can be, I don't even know what the ridiculous. I'll just say ridiculous sometimes. Um, and at 2-0, there's very little ridiculousness that I see out there right now. Um, we when we were at game one, we heard it in the stands. We're winning the game. Things, and I'm not even talking about when things were going bad. I'm talking about when things were going good. We were still hearing ridiculous stuff by people there wearing burgundy and gold. But man, it's all tampered down a little bit this week at 2-0. So that's good. That's good to see.
Well, yeah, I guess you haven't been on Twitter then, because Twitter is
I've
not.
seen some. I've seen some, but it's been a whole lot less than normal. Let's put it that way.
Oh, well, okay. I guess we're on different corners of Twitter, because because
Uh,
the corner
yeah, you may need to stop. You may need to unfollow some people, man.
because the corner Twitter I'm on, man, it is full tilt, man. But that's
Well, well,
fine, man. I've
for those that don't know, Reg, if there's a consistent gripe that you're hearing this week, what would it be?
It's not so much that it's a gripe. It's just that you know I've learned that you have ridiculous fans in every fan base. It's
Correct.
crazy. It's crazy how two people can look at the same thing and see two different things. And so our fan base is no different, man. There's an overreaction to everything. There's a reading into a lot of the same stuff. But at the end of the day, man, I think fans are just excited, and I think this is just par for the course for a fan base and an organization that seems to be extremely excited about all the change that are taking place. And as we say, winning cures a lot of things. And so
Yes.
for this organization to have a new ownership, a new quarterback, and a new coordinator, and to be 2-0, all of that is going to fuel excitement. And so
Right.
with excitement, you're going to get ridiculousness. And Twitter and fans on Twitter are just full of ridiculousness. But you know what, man, it could be a lot worse. I just real quick, I was listening to Ron Rivera's press conference, and they asked him about Cheeseman, the long snapper, and it's like,
Yeah.
Ron, how far has things have come that you're at a press conference and one of the biggest things we're discussing is about uh, how well your long snapper is doing as opposed to some of the other off the field things that we've been discussing in the past. And it's just how far we've come as an organization that
Right.
that's the topic as opposed to some of the off the field stuff that we've had to discuss in the past. So just goes to show the change that we've experienced here over the past few months.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, unless you just blow out a team, 40-0 or something like that, um, you're going to find there's always room for criticism. The players would tell you that, right? Nobody's playing a perfect game. You're giving up points. You're having a turnover, maybe missed blocks, whatever it is. You're not going to have a perfect game out there. But to your point, there's things that we would say we need to clean up rather than glaring. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I mean, this time last year I believe the second game last year was the Philly game, if I remember right. And that was a disaster, right? That was early on,
Yes,
and
that was the 9 sack game, right?
uh, that was the good part, right? That was
Yeah,
that was one of the good things of the game, um, where just everything went wrong, and everything for Philadelphia went right. Um, but even so, we're this year. But it's just my point of where we were last year versus this year, the approach, and after a win, what we've seen after the first. I'm sorry, even if we were to lose, whether it's this week, next week, the week after that, what we've seen these first couple games is like, okay, we may lose, but we've got something to work with here. We've got
yes,
something that we're building on. We'll clean up this. There's a play here. There's a missed assignment, and maybe that's why we lost. We can put our finger on one or two things that we lost rather than an entire offensive line, an entire secondary, an entire whatever it is.
right.
Um, we're not at that point. We're not in that situation right now with Washington Commanders.
Nope. There's a lot of good things that are happening within the team, man. That gives people a lot of hope.
Right.
And this is, for some people, they go, "You guys are excited because you got a new owner." Well, when you've had some of the issues that we've had, yes, the answer is yes. We are excited about new ownership. Well, you guys, it's only 2 games. You're 2-0. Well, when you finish your seasons many times at or below 500, yes, we're excited about the fact that we're 2-0. So there are little victories for us. Maybe for some people, there's not a big deal, but for us, man, this is a big deal, and I'm not gonna apologize for it.
Well, I mean, what fan base that's 2-0 isn't happy right now, right?
Well,
Uh,
well, well, well. What I mean is, if you're take for Cleveland for not Cleveland, Cincinnati for example, they're 0-2,
right.
right? You're not gonna panic if you're 0-2 if you're Cincinnati. You got some questions,
Oh,
concerns.
I bet you on the airwaves and on the Twitterverse of Cincinnati, there's a
But
whole
I
lot of
understand,
panic
I
going on.
understand. But listen to what I'm saying. You there's a lot of questions being asked because you shouldn't be 2-0, but you're not panicking that you're
Right,
2 and
right,
0. If we had started out 0-2, this is a whole different conversation, a whole nother ball game. And so my point being is, you expect Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, even though you're questioning what the hell's going on, you expect that team to turn around and still probably make the playoff.
right,
If
right.
we're 0-2, you're asking a lot of questions and you're probably calling for people to be fired. I mean, there's a whole different reaction to
Sure, sure.
being 0-2. So that's what I mean by, so for us to be 2-0 as opposed to 0-2 is a big deal.
Yeah, without a doubt, I can agree with that. And now that we're 2-0, our goal obviously is to go to 3-0. And this week coming up, we've got the Buffalo Bills ahead of us. Buffalo Bills are 1-1. They lost week one to the Jets, basically without Aaron Rodgers. When that happened, you just assumed that was going to be a cakewalk game for them. But
Right.
they lost in overtime to the Jets, and then last week they got it together and put it on the Raiders, 38-10. Um, so they're 1-1 and coming into Washington. There's a home game for Washington. It's sold out. I'm sure because of the success that Buffalo has had the last handful of years here, there's going to be a decent Buffalo crowd. But with all the excitement going on in Washington with the Commanders, I think this is going to definitely still be a predominantly big Washington fan base compared to the last couple of years when we were playing against playoff caliber teams. It seemed like it was maybe 50-50. But I think Washington's crowd is definitely going to be noticeable this week coming up.
Well, I think there will be more Washington fans in the stands than we've had in the past. I'm not ready to say that it's still going to be a predominantly Washington fan, because for 2 reasons. One is the Bills fan base travels well, but New York's proximity to the DC area is very close, so it's easy to travel. And then when the schedule first came out, and this was a close road game for Bills fans, this was pre the sale to Josh Harris. Washington fan didn't get on board and buying tickets until the announcement of Josh Harris being the new owner. So my concern is the Bills fan bought tickets before the sale. And so my question is, how many of those people are already bought tickets,
Sure.
right? And that's where I'm concerned. Now, down the road, future home games, I think it's going to be a huge presence by Commander fan. But this
Right.
game here in particular, when the schedule first came out, I'm concerned that Bills fan bought up a lot of tickets prior to the sale and didn't give Washington fans a chance to grab tickets. And it was by the time they decided to want to get on board, it was too late, if you will. But we'll
Yeah.
see, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm wrong on that, and it would be a very noticeable home field advantage for us on Sunday.
Yeah. And my visibility of season ticket holders is very limited. Being here in the Dallas area, but on social media, I saw several times this week where Washington Commander fans couldn't go to the game, and they made sure that they sold the tickets to a Commanders fan. In past years, they would just put it on StubHub or what SeatGeek or wherever, and sold the tickets that way. And when you do it that way, uh, you're not able to control who buys it. But but I did see that there was some people that were very conscious of it because of what Washington has going on, and that what they saw week one. Maybe they went to week one and they can't go to week three, and they're like, man, we need to keep this fan base going, keep the stadium rocking. So I did see some of that, and just kind of want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I did. I saw that as well. There was a concerted effort to make sure that any ticket sold was sold to Commander fans. So yep,
Yeah, I
good for
mean
those good for those folks, man.
and that, again, that's a change from a year or two ago, right? People were just worried about selling them if you couldn't go to the game, to get their money back. Now there's a certain level of conscious effort to try to keep the Commanders fans in there.
Yep.
Um, with that being said, we're going up against uh, a quarterback that when he gets hot, watch out. I think Josh Allen is a very streaky quarterback, and he could be streaky for weeks, right? Um, I know he for the season, he's kind of on par with Sam Howell if you look at the stats. 2 weeks worth of stats is not a trend. It's not a whole lot to look at, but they're throwing about the same amount of yards, the same amount of attempts. Josh Allen actually has more attempts, but Josh Allen is completion percentage is 77%. That is extremely high in the NFL. Again, it's a small sampling of just 2 weeks, 76 pass attempts, but at 76%, he's got a very high completion rate. He has been sacked 7 times and thrown 3 interceptions. So there's you can get to Josh Allen, even though he's runs and he can scramble. Um, but I think from an offensive perspective, it all starts and stops with Josh Allen. If you can have him have a moderate game, you're definitely going to be in it. If you let him get going, both with his scrambling and with his arm, and he starts getting hot, it can be trouble for you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But the one positive thing for Washington, I think, for this game is the Bills are 1-1, and nationally and I'm sure locally for the Bills, there's been question marks of how the Bills seem to be, and I'm going to use air quotes, struggling. And so they didn't hit the ground running like I think people expected them to do. And so they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable, I think, for this game. And for us to catch them early in the season to not be playing their best ball is a good thing for Washington. Now, we can't afford to, in my opinion, for the third consecutive week, get down to a big deficit and then expect to come back and win, right? You can't live week to week always having to make a comeback.
Right.
So the Buffalo Bills, although they've had their struggles in the first 2 weeks of the season, with Josh Allen being inconsistent in some areas, we have to play our game. And part of playing of our game is we have to make them work. We have to keep the pressure on. So in other words, we have to be able to score when we get opportunities to score. We have to get out to and play well early. The way we played in the second half of both games is what we need to start this game out playing, not only offensively but defensively. And I think if we do that, that puts pressure on the Buffalo Bills and their ability to know that, hey, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah, I don't disagree. One of the things you kind of mentioned there, um, about making it, about putting the pressure on them. I think everybody, including, when you first look at the Buffalo Bills, you think about their offense. Their defense this year has really kind of been the one setting the tone. They gave up 16 points. The defense gave up 16 points against the Jets, and then 10 points against the Raiders. So they've given up one TD in each game, and a couple interceptions. I'm sorry, a couple field goals. Um, the special teams ultimately gave up a touchdown to lose it in overtime with the Jets. But so far their defense, what is that? They're averaging giving up 13 points a game. Again, small sampling, but I think their defense is not one to be overlooked. And as you were mentioning about getting behind, if you start getting behind and their defense, I think, is playing pretty good ball, that's going to make it just that much more challenging to come back. And so you're going to need to be right there with them. If you're down a little bit, if you're up a little bit, you just need to keep that offensively. You're going to need to keep that pressure on them because I think they're going to score.
Oh, they're
I'm
going to
not going to say
score.
that they're going to go off.
They're going to score.
I mean, it's not going to be. Well, I guess my point would be you're not going to score 17 to 20 points and beat Buffalo,
Correct.
right? You're gonna need to get into the probably the mid 20s to win, and maybe you need to go higher. But so that goes to tell you, I think in past years we have been averaging 19 to 21 points a game, and sometimes that's been pulling
Yeah.
teeth to get that.
And that's not going to
Uh,
cut it.
that is not going to cut it against a lot of teams this year, but definitely not going to be cutting it against the Buffalo Bills.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Weather could potentially be a factor as well. It could be some rain during the game, so that could affect some things. Whether it's opportunities for turnovers or just simply being that it has an impact on offense. But that same weather is going to impact us as well. Um, but the Buffalo Bills, is a measuring stick game for us. Each week, the defenses that we've gone against has been better and better. You start out with Arizona, and then we played Denver, who's got a little bit better defense, and now here we got the Buffalo Bills, who's would be the better defense of all three. Um, we talked about it before the season started, is that for us to have a new coordinator, new quarterback, and essentially a brand new offensive line, the schedule was set up for us to each week play a better opponent each week while at the same time getting some reps as an offense altogether. So here we are, man, week 3, because again, week 4 is not going to get any better against the Eagles, but certainly it's going to start with week 3. And so we have a chance here to show that we're not the Commanders of old, that there is a new regime and there's a new change here, and that what the fans are excited about, this is why. And so we need to come out and show it, man. We need
Right.
to come out and show it.
Yeah, I think from an offensive perspective this week, one of the things that's going to be different is we've got we're playing against a true star stud wide receiver. The other teams, with Denver and Arizona, they didn't have anybody that necessarily stood out. They had a number one receiver, number two receiver, but there's definitely a number one receiver for the Bills with Stephon Diggs, and I mean in 2 weeks he already has 17 catches. right?
Hmm.
So you're catching 8, 9 passes a game. Has only has one TD, but 168 yards. So Del Rio and crew are definitely going to be putting a game plan together to try to slow him down, or to maybe shadow a safety over, or however they're going to play him, is to limit him. Right? You're not going to stop the guy completely, but to not let him go off and have a career day is what from a defensive perspective is going to be a little bit different, I think, against Buffalo, of what you've seen the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. For me, on the defensive side, I have one concern. And it's funny you've heard me talk about this in seasons past, and it was overshadowed last week because we won the game.
Right.
And it was also overshadowed because of his return. I'm talking about Chase Young. And I'm a fan of Chase Young,
Right.
okay? But I'm also a fan of this team. And being a fan of the team trumps individual players. And so what I'm going to say here may not be a popular opinion is everyone gets enamored with Chase Young's ability, Chase Young's production, or lack thereof in some cases. What I want to see, and it showed up in the game against Denver. In fact, it showed up in that very play that people call a very pivotal play in the game. When Russell Wilson escapes the pocket, Jamin Davis runs after him, makes the tackle, strips him, and Russell fumbles. In that play, Chase Young had cut inside and left his lane assignment. Because he cut inside, Russell escapes the pocket and rolls out. What was essentially going to be a first down, but the athleticism and the speed of Jamin Davis caught up with him and prevented Russ from either running the ball, getting more yards, and of course he creates the turnover. I don't know why. Ron even talked about it a little bit. I don't understand why or how Chase Young continues to get away with freelancing within our defensive system. We require all of our other edge rushers to play within the system. And as we play as a unit, you rush as a unit, you're going to get the plays. Somebody's going to get the play, whether it's the interior of Payne and Allen, or you're going to get the other guy. But you got to play within the system. But for some reason, Chase Young continues to freelance and runs over and does whatever he needs to do trying to create a play. And let me tell you, I'm a bald headed dude, man. I'm going to lose my hair if I see Josh Allen extending and making huge plays on Sunday because Chase Young is getting out of his gap assignment. It's frustrating. I hate to see it. And it's like, I don't understand why he continues to get away and get a pass to be able to just go and do what he wants to do. It does the team no good if three guys rush in unison and Chase Young lose gap assignment.
Right.
And if Josh Allen is able to escape the pocket because Chase is out of his lane assignment, I'm telling you, we will lose that game.
Well, I
Because
think I think I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think you're spot on, to your point that Ron said something. I think Ron kind of gave him I'm not going to say a pass, but he was like, just the excitement of him being out there and just wanting to attack. It is definitely something that is coachable, right? It's like, okay, you had your week. Now we've got a different level of team here, Chase. You've got to hold your. We want you to rush, but still needs to be a controlled rush. Um, and then because if he continues to do this, the offense will plan on it and run plays and set him up to do that. Um, to be able to get big yardage, right? They know that they can create that big gap, whether it's with a draw, whether it's a quarterback, uh, just pausing for a second. They know he's going to shoot up field, and the quarterback or running back is doing nothing more than reading Chase Young and going from there.
yes,
And
yes.
so he's got definitely has to get that under control. I agree with that
I'm
100%.
telling you, I'm going to lose it on Sunday, man. If I sit here and watch him just out here and just play his own defense, I'm gonna, I'm
Well, I
gonna,
mean,
I'm gonna lose it.
Well, I mean, I think Josh Allen is going to end up running, right? Even if you end up keeping your lane and doing everything, he's going to squeak through it and do some runs that,
But make
and
him earn it.
probably
Make him earn
and
it.
probably even some designed, a play or two where he has designed runs. I mean, he's running it 4 or 5 times a game. He's their second leading rusher, as a
Make
matter
him
of
earn
fact.
it. Make him earn
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Uh, as I was looking over the other players offensively, um, one of the players that kind of stood out was Gabe Davis. I guess you would call it their second receiver. He has 8 receptions for 124 yards, 1 TD. The kind of thing that stood out for me, every single one of his catches has been for a first down or a touchdown. So out of 8 catches, 7 first downs and one touchdown. So
Hmm. Okay.
I,
All right.
I know again 2 games, small window, but kind of crazy. In 2 games, everything's been a first down or a touchdown. So
So we call it. So we call a fun fact, Ken.
yes,
Fun
yes,
fact. Fun
fun fact. As long as he's not doing against your team, yeah. Uh, I mean, and to your point of what I think, controlling um Josh Allen. I know this
It's gonna be
may,
paramount, man. It's gonna be
yeah, this
paramount.
this may kind of make a couple people cringe. I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the Buffalo nickel see a little bit of Quan Martin where we haven't seen a lot of him so far. Whether he's picking up the tight end, whether he's doing more of a like a zone and containment and keeping an eye on Josh Allen in certain situations where it might be an obvious pass situation. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him step up and make some plays, even though in preseason he had some issues, right? Some
Well, let me just say this. I don't even know if he's going to play. He did not play last week, and he did not practice today. He's still in concussion
still in
protocol.
concussion protocol. Okay, okay. I thought
So
he was out of that.
no, as of today, he was not. He did not. He was a DNP for practice today. So if he doesn't do anything tomorrow, I can't imagine he's going to
Yeah,
be ready to play on Sunday.
yeah. But and even and I guess if I take it back a little bit, even if it ends up, I mean, I was anticipating Quan Martin because of his skill set coming out of college. But I would think that there's going to be a a lot of nickel, whether that nickel is with a safety or a cornerback. I think we're going to be in that a lot this week. I mentioned before when we're talking about Eric Bieniemy and his style is going to pass more than run. It's the exact same way with Buffalo. So far they're at about a 60% pass, 40% run ratio. Also, so that alone tells you we're the secondary better you know better drink their Gatorade and be ready because you're going to be running a lot of wind sprints chasing these cats down. So
What it help if everybody rushes a unit. Just
absolutely,
saying. Just saying.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think to your point, I think last week the the rush was consistently good, right? Against Arizona, I don't think it was as consistent. There were moments that different people got through, but last week I think there was a consistent uh, rush that when Russell Wilson went back, his clock was a little bit faster than normal, and they did overall a good job of keeping him in the pocket. And they got some big plays out of that. So
Well,
again,
look, man.
if they can do that again, and Chase can just tighten it up a little bit, they're going to make it a challenging day for Josh Allen.
Yeah, because I can't imagine anything, man. As the defense gets out here and get these guys in third and long, and someone gets out a gap assignment, and the reason that they're getting a first down is because someone didn't do their job, as opposed to just somebody just making a play.
Right.
Hats off to them if they just make the play. But if they're making a first down because someone is losing their assignment, whether it's a blown coverage, losing gap assignment, or something of that nature on a defensive side of the ball, man, that's got to be frustrating because you've done the work on the first two downs. You got them in third and long, and then all of a sudden you do something where you just have a brain fart. And that's the part that's just so frustrating. And I hate to see it, whether it's, I don't care who it is, but the guy that stands out the most that seems to be the biggest violator of that is Chase Young.
Right. Right.
That's my only
Um,
issue with Chase. It's my only issue.
yeah. One thing that I think everybody was happy to a degree when he came back, but it would be a good this would be a good week to see Crowder do a little bit of something on punt return. Not saying that he's going to take one to the house, but for him to have some
Have a big
returns of
return.
even 10 or 15 yards sometimes is big when people are trying to flip the field on you, or you're trying to if they're deep in their territory, uh, you Crowder catches it at hour 40 and he returns it 15 yards. Well, all of a sudden now you're a first down away from being in field goal territory.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I this would be a good week for Crowder uh, to step up and do a little something special.
That would be good. Would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Um, that's kind of my read on the team overall there. Um, James Cook is doing some decent running for them. He hasn't gone crazy for them so far this year. I think with our defensive line, I don't want to jinx us here, but I don't anticipate him going crazy. Um, we've done well against the run overall so far this year, and I think we're going to see the ball flung around a lot come Sunday, and that's where my biggest concern is
From a
from
passing
facing the
standpoint.
Buffalo. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm not overly concerned about the run game as much as I am the passing game.
yeah,
So
yeah. Um, but we haven't done it this year. Well, I guess we haven't done it in a direct way because we were having some technical difficulties, and then we because of some scheduling conflicts we couldn't. But it's that time, Reg. You know what time it is, don't you?
I, I do.
And for those that aren't watching us on YouTube or on the podcast, this is the biggest smile I've seen Reggie, other than at the end of the game when we're winning.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
He looks forward to that music being played every single week.
And for the record, I love the segment. I just can't stand the music, but I love the segment.
Yeah, uh, yeah. Anytime I bring some throwback music in from way back in the day,
It's awful. It's usually awful.
Reggie never likes it.
It's
Reggie never
awful.
likes it.
I do not. So here we go, man. So what's your number, huh? All right, you
Yeah,
going
what's
first?
your name? What's your number? I'll let you go first, Reg.
Okay. This is a big test for us. Everybody knows that. And even if we win this game on Sunday, I don't expect us to get any type of credit nationally. I think this would be more about what Buffalo didn't do as opposed to what Washington did to win the game. So win or lose, I don't expect it to change the narrative for us. But as a fan base, I expect that this game to probably, those people that we were referring to that are very ridiculous,
Yeah,
those fans that are ridiculous, it's going to send them to the stratosphere, right? For us to have beat a quality team like the Buffalo Bills. Won't change the narrative nationally, but certainly within the fan base, man, you're not going to be able to tell us anything. But that being said, as I kind of harped on earlier, I'm less concerned about their run. I'm less concerned about their defense. It's not to say they're not good in their own right. My biggest concern is their ability to pass the ball. And their ability to pass the ball, they're very good at it. And one way to stop that is with the pass rush. And you heard me harp on it earlier, and that is in order for us to be successful, we have to do exceptionally well on the offensive side, which is ball control. But certainly on the defensive side, we have to be able to get a pass rush against Josh Allen. And in his fourth year, I've not seen Chase Young show a willingness to be part of the defensive unit to rush as a unit. And so therefore I'm concerned that he's going to do his own thing and Josh Allen is going to hurt us. So My confidence in this game is not very high. It's not just because of Chase Young, it's just because of the Buffalo Bills, and we're still trying to basically show that we've grown up. We're no longer the little kid at the playground. But until that happens, I'm gonna have to say that this is one of the games that I picked us to lose. So my number for this game is probably 4.
4. Yeah,
Yes.
for a second there, I thought you were going to go lower than that. Right there at the end with just the way your tone was.
No, no, and I wouldn't go lower because I do think good things are happening with us as well. I can't tell you the last time a Washington team has put up 35 points.
Right.
And so from that perspective, I've always felt like things are different with Sam Howell and the addition of Eric Bieniemy. So our ability to score offensively and do some things is the least of my concern. And I won't say the least of my concern. It's not my number one concern. My number one concern is what can we do defensively to slow down Buffalo. If
Right.
our defense plays well and slows down Buffalo, then I think offensively we have enough offensive firepower to hang with Buffalo and potentially win the game. But my lack of confidence is in our defense and our ability to slow down their offense, and until I see it's done, I'm going to continue to harp about Chase Young and his ability to be rush as part of our unit. So that's why I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah. No, that's good explanation on your number there. Um, it's funny because kind of a couple phrases that you used, I've got written down here of reasons why I have my number high or low. Um, the first 2 weeks against Arizona and against Denver, my concerns of winning or losing was primarily with Washington. Right? It
Okay.
was is if Washington does this as expected, we will win. If Washington does that, we will win. This is the first game where I'm I have I still have the issues that Washington needs to do XYZ, but I am also worried about Buffalo, right? But Buffalo themselves as a team concerns me as much as things that we're still growing into as a team, as Sam Howell has grown into. Up to this point, some of Sam Howell's mistakes, while there haven't been a lot of them, we've been able to overcome his mistakes, right?
Correct.
And whether that's been offensively or defensively, that the defense has stepped up and put the opposing team on lockdown for a while as we gather up. Um, that's going to be a bigger challenge this week against Buffalo. Um, with all that being said, I think Washington comes out with a win. Um,
What?
my
What?
my confidence level is not high, but I think this is the game that everybody kind of raises their eyebrow and go, okay, th- this team this team is a legitimate playoff contender. Um,
Wow. So what's your number?
and again, my confidence level isn't high, but I think this is the game. I'm sitting at a 5.5, just slightly over, just slightly over. We win with a game-winning field goal. We win with a last-second defensive stop. We win at the end, but my confidence level is not ultimately high, but I think
Hey,
we walk out with a win
okay.
for the
Well,
reasons that I said.
I had this game on the book as an L. But listen,
I did
I
too. At the beginning of the season, if I had to look at it, I definitely would have too. But go ahead.
but I will say though, but I had it as an L because I wasn't sure what we were going to look like come week 3. And again, as I said, my concern is not offensively though, and that's where we had all the question marks on the offensive side, and that's not what my concern is. But hey, man, listen, you know where I'm rooting, you know who I'm rooting for, and you know what I'm hoping for as we go in this game. Because again, I think it will turn some heads, but I think it will still be the narrative will still be about what Buffalo did not do to lose the game, more so than it will be about what Washington did to win it. But hey,
I think, yeah,
if we win and still be one of the undefeated teams in the league, and we beat a good Buffalo team, it will get some people's attention.
yeah, I think what we saw in the second half, minus the hail, fluke hail mary, I think what we saw in the second half, offensively and defensively, is what carries over to Buffalo,
Okay, I hope you're right,
right?
man.
Um, and they will recognize, I mean, right off the bat, to your point about Chase, I don't disagree with what you said, but I think from from the end of the game presser, Ron talking about it and talking about it this week, um, Chase will have to hold his lane. Is he going to slip up once, maybe twice, maybe, but consistently he's going to have to hold his lane, do his thing. That goes for the other side too, right? Everybody's going to have to do that with Josh Allen. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
I'm,
I
I'm not.
have
I'm
a
not gonna. I'm not gonna harp on it anymore
yep.
because again, this is year four. And granted, I know he was injured part of that, but this is not the first we've talked about it. Not the first Dave talked about it, and yet nothing has changed. But we'll see. I hope you're right, and we will see come Sunday.
We will.
So
Uh,
with that, hey man, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on Twitter. We're at the two knuckleheads. You know, um, let us know. Comment. We'll be tweeting this out. We'll be posting about it. Let us know your thoughts on it. What's your number? How confident
what's
are
your
you?
name?
You know,
What is your number?
what do you see? What do you see as a Washington win? What do you think is a Washington loss? I mean, you may think we're gonna lose this game because clearly I think so, but hey, let us know your thoughts, and we'll be back with our post game podcast for the Buffalo Bills. Hopefully, it's another victory. But if not, we'll give you our thoughts on it as we move into the next one. So, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, peace out.
Peace out, knuckleheads.